What's up, guys? Just shout out to share. Welcome back to more Tekken 8 news. Today we got an episode 2 of Tekken Talk. We're most likely going to be talking about mostly the mechanic tweaks, some updates and stuff. Talk about Brian, Harang, the new characters and stuff. Hopefully you're going to see a new character also. Hopefully, I don't know who we're going to show off. I think I saw one character was Claudio. I think that's his name. But he was revealed a couple months ago, so we're probably going to see some gameplay here. But let's get into it, man.
Mark Manjulio, who is the Director of Business Development for EVO. Michael Murray, the producer for Tekken Project. And we're also joined by Katsuhiro Harada, also known as Harada-san, who is the Director of Tekken Project. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir.
My pleasure.
We have a
Harada-san.
lot to talk about today, okay?
Talk to me
We
nice.
have
Talk to me
We're
nice.
here to talk about the next step in Tekken 8's development. We're here to talk about the closed alpha test results, which we have all had the chance to participate in.
Oh yeah, the
and we're
closed
also
alpha
gonna get
test.
ready for the
So
closed network.
speaking of the closed alpha test, who trying to hook me up on the code? Cause I ain't get the code on my email. So who finna hook me up? Or do I gotta rob y'all? I'll see y'all in the comments. I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all later. Don't worry. Whoever got the email, I'll find you. For sure. If you already put it on your PlayStation, I'll take a PlayStation for the weekend. Don't worry. I'll find out.
Test. So let's talk about the alpha test first. Tell me, what are some of the highlights of the feedback that you've received from the closed alpha test?
2日間ずっとそればっかり聞いてたんですけど、そういうことをこっちから積極的に行って、本当印象的な。
This time is also a little bit different than normal.
そうそうそう。
So this time is also a little bit different than normal because in order to participate in the CAT, it was like EVO Japan or Combo Breaker, like you mentioned. I think one of the conditions was that they actually were registered for the tournament. So this was mainly, the hardcore Tekken audience that was picked up for to play the game and to give their feedback. So we were expecting more critical feedback from this group who obviously understands Tekken and the game system and mechanics quite well. Although, this time around, it is a brand new system with a lot of new mechanics. So a lot of people were quite happy just to be able to see that. And so we were expecting more critical feedback, but what we got was overwhelmingly positive. So we were kind of hesitant to believe it wholly, Also to kind of help even that out, Harada mentioned how he was at EVO Japan watching players, not you get the comments from them directly, but you also get a lot more information just watching them play the game and seeing what they're maybe not using, maybe what they don't understand, maybe what they do understand and they're enjoying quite a bit. So we were able to see that directly during the CAT as well, which was very helpful.
Awesome. So Mark, we as Michael mentioned, we had the closed alpha test at EVO Japan. That was the first closed alpha test that we had. You also got to try it.
Yes.
You've tried it everywhere.
Yes. Every event that I've been to, I've tried the closed alpha test. I signed up for it as well. So it was a fun experience, as a lot of the players mentioned. One of the things I noticed though, and this was kind of universal from a lot of the players that had a chance to try the closed alpha test, is they all mentioned that they wish they had more time to play it.
For me, as someone who helped oversee the closed alpha test for Combo Breaker, I got a lot of positive feedback as well. A lot of people saying, please thank them for me. I love this game. Also, please give me a free copy. So, you're going to get those requests too.
I know. I also think it's probably because of some of the changes we made because, the gaming mechanics that are new across the board. But then, obviously up until now we had characters that had maybe a few moves that were added. But this time, because of the heat system and how it gives the characters more unique abilities across, individual abilities for each character.
That's really good to hear that from both the perspectives. I want to hear both of them before I make a comment. But it's good to hear from both of their perspectives, to hear that they're all getting positive feedbacks. That means that even though they're going to be also working a lot more harder on the game, they don't have to stress too much to make big changes. They don't have to tweak too much because we already like it already, that we don't have to change too much. For instance, like if we had Jin was already good as he was. I never got to play him, so I'm trying to make the best examples I can. But we saw Jin. What we saw Jin was incredible. It was different moves, and we brought in the new mechanics, and it gave us more utility, and more combo potential, and more gameplay footage, and more stuff that brings us more joy that actually bring us like, ooh, they should have brought this, or it's like, ooh, I don't know if I feel about that. It's mostly just, wow, what? I want to see more, or could this link up to this, or I really want to practice more. It just gives us more opportunity. It makes us more open minded. It gives us more positivity for the game, which is very good. So I want to hear more.
People at home who may not have been able to see your initial keynote about the heat system, can you explain, the basics of the heat system for us?
で、まあ、見ている人も、遊んでる人も、まあ、
Battle concept vision. Provide both players and audience the most exhilarating experience yet within the series through a new battle system and involved visual experience, which is exactly what I was talking about. Visually seeing this, it makes it more appealing. It gives us more entertainment about what we do. It gives us more expression on what combos we do, and it shows it off that we did a lot more than just mashing all the time and not visually seeing like, oh my gosh, what you just mashing this, you just mashing that, you're not doing nothing really clean. But then when we're seeing moves like these, new battle systems, new mechanics, it gives us more visual experience that is just like, whoa, that was clean look. What did you do? I want to learn that.
非常にこう攻めて見てて楽しい爽快感があるゲームを
State and
今作ってます。
so the heat state and the mechanics before we go into, you have to kind of get an idea of the background of 8 and the philosophy, and that is that it focuses on allowing the players to play more aggressively, and the reason for this is fighting games are kind of unique as far as multiplayer games go. In general, in a multiplayer game, if you attack your opponent and you're spot on, the damage is done, right? But for fighting games, you have, first off, you can block it,
Yep.
negating all the damage. Not just that, but 3D games in particular, 3D fighting games, you can sidestep to avoid your opponent's attacks. So defense is already such a strong element in fighting games that focusing on this aggressive element we thought was going to make the game more entertaining.
Right.
Not just to the people who are playing the games, but also for people who are watching, the spectators. It's much
Right.
more fun to see the people actually go on the offensive and attack their opponent. So this was a major core philosophy behind the game.
Basically, keep on the offensive, keep on moving, making it visually appealing, and you want to be on the offensive at all times, making it more appealing and making it more comfortable for you, and make it entertaining. Basically, the direction of the battle. Make the battles more enjoyable for a player in each attack, which I was saying. Make it easier for people to understand exciting battle movements and momentum shifts, which when I was watching it, I understood a lot. I didn't really have to like watch different videos to actually understand what was going on. I understood like watching from like 1 or 2 videos. I was like, okay, I can understand. Or even from the first time they introduced it, I already understood it. Enhance the characters specially and characteristics. Okay.
まあ、よく本当の格闘技の試合でもあるんですけど、ここ
The
は
last
多
one
分
kind
第
of
2ラウンドの
mm,
ここはすごいクライマック
the last one I agree with because of King's moves. If you remember King's move sets in his trailer, it expresses so much more of his character, especially so much because he's cheering out to the crowd when he's wrestling. It's amazing. And you hear the background, everyone cheering for him. So it brings him up because he's part of a ring. He's a wrestler, so he gives out entertainment for the folks out there that's watching, for the spectators. So it's really good.
ここが勝負を分けたよねみたいな、まあ、場所がすごく、
Also,
変わってくるっていうところを強調する、ゲームにしたいなというふうに思ってます。
also to just make it more enjoyable spectator experience is to make it easy to understand how the tide of battle is changing and where this decisive moment occurs.
Right.
Especially if you're maybe looking at
Ooh,
the
wait, this
last
is new
round,
gameplay.
which is
Hold
where
on.
some of that often happens.
Ooh.
And to just be able to have these visual cues about when that starts to change.
Okay.
But not just that, it's also some of the changes we made to the characters' uniqueness during the heat state. That they've always had their own particular play style and attacks, etc. But the strategy that's more effective for each character and the kind of strategy that they want to employ to actually follow through and win the match, these are kind of more emphasized, I guess you could say, during the heat state. So those were some of the core philosophies that we wanted to put in the forefront.
So
Gotcha.
tell us a little bit more in depth about the heat state itself. Tell us what we're able to do and how that affects the gameplay.
So basically, when you choose to enter the heat state, each character has certain characteristics that are brought out because of that. Maybe
What can you do during the heat state? Can take special attacks, can take special attacks. I don't. Let me keep reading. Even if guarded, damage can be inflicted as a recoverable gauge. Okay. Characters' personalities and characteristics are enhanced, which I was talking about earlier about King. But the first one, I don't think I've seen that. I probably haven't. Probably didn't notice the second one. I definitely know what you're talking about. It's a little bar on their health bar that they gain once they start attacking in their heat state. They gain, so they basically heal when they're attacking. I think they, yeah, even if they're guarded, damage can be inflicted as yeah. I
Maybe
got
they
you.
have
Yeah,
access to certain moves that they don't normally, or maybe like King, he can recover his heat gauge by certain throws, etc. So the uniqueness of the character is made even
Wait. Say that again.
gauged by like King, he can recover his heat gauge by certain throws, etc.
Is that only for King? That's crazy. He gets more. He gets his hate recharge back by certain attacks.
So the uniqueness of the character is made even more unique during the state.
Gotcha. So it is unique. It's
offensive
basically only
capacity, I
for
guess you could
King.
say. Another
Maybe
big
there's different
element is
things
that
when he.
this wasn't in
Yeah.
Tekken
So
7
that's
either,
cool.
that
That's
if
cool.
I'm playing Mark, I engage the heat state. Mine
Wait,
wasn't in Tekken 7 either. That
Oh, okay.
if I'm playing Mark, I engage the heat state. My attacks now do a certain specific type of damage to him, even if he's guarding. You'll see his life gauge deplete.
Yeah, top
it's still
left.
white,
Yep.
so it's not confirmed yet. But then if I'm able to confirm that chunk, it goes away. On the other hand, if he goes on the offensive or plays quite well, he can recover that gauge.
Oh, he
that's
doesn't
another
have to be in
brand new
heat state.
way
He could
that's,
just get it
tied in-
immediately.
brand
Okay.
new method that's tied into this gameplay. So it's focused on being aggressive on the offense, but it actually adds a whole new layer to the characters and their abilities. It makes the game even more entertaining. Some other special actions we have as well. We touched on this earlier with you have the heat engagers and you have the heat burst. But then once you're in the heat state, you also have access to a heat smash, which is kind of like
Right.
a rage art in the fact that it's a super move that has very cool animations unique to each character that you can use to deal massive damage to your opponent. That said, you use all your remaining gauge, so you have to be careful on when you choose to use that. There's also a cool heat dash, which if maybe you've seen in the trailer. I think
Yep.
like the one at Combo Breaker. In the middle of a combo, you can choose to use some of your gauge to do a heat dash to connect it, or maybe push them closer to the wall, etc.
Oh my
So you
gosh!
have a
Look
lot of
how
these
much
cool
it
options
just
that become
covers the
available
wall
once
to
you're in the heat
wall,
state.
bro.
Yeah, that's great because usually, there are moves that knock them far away, and at that point the combo will end, but then they can extend it with the heat dash, right?
Right.
Cool. So we talked a little bit about the changes. You mentioned a little bit about it. Can you guys tell us what kind of changes is the team planning based
From
off of the
CAT,
feedback? Yeah,
right?
based off of feedback from the closed alpha
Okay.
test.
CAT のフィードバック
一番変わったとこね
どういうところを変えたのかっていう。
今回、実はかなりフィードバックから抽出して
This is
細
something
かい
big I
項
really
目で
wanna
書いて
hear
いくと
on.
ね
This is
結構
something
あるんで
really
すよ。
big.
ただ
'Cause this could change
ここは
a
意
lot.
外ともともと気づいて
We
なか
might
った
not
ところが
know.
分かる
So
というのは
let's see.
なくしました。こう8って
All right,
マー
let's see
カー
the
があっ
big
た
change because this might change up a lot.
完全になくしました。で、
Heat energy is removed from CAT for the C. Oh, the 8 bars, like the chain, that's gone. Minor change based on the CAT feedback. Excuse me. So is that you can't do it 2 more times, or it says minor change, but I feel like that is a big change. Cause now because usually in the CAT you only had it twice. I think it's like each round, or is it each? I think it's like you get 2 of them in the beginning of each round, or I'm not sure, but let him hear about it. Let me see.
あとはそのやっと出すヒートスマッシュって技が
Now execute a single command with R1. Gotcha. Minor change based. Yeah. Oh, there goes Cardio. There he is. That's a little picture. You don't really see too much. Like, oh, I guess this is just the same thing. Okay, I got you.
出てたんですけど、これの出す技、ヒートスマッシュの出し方を基本的にはコマンドを統一。ヒート
Change in heat activation time. Activate heat with a heat engager can get longer time of heat state. Oh, okay. Heat timer stops while an opponent is hit or down state. Gotcha. You can leverage your character's okay. Activate heat with heat engager can longer time of heat state. Okay. Okay.
エナジーなくした代わりに、
So the biggest change we made was we got a lot of feedback from the players and noticed that maybe some of the system wasn't as clear as we had wanted it to be. Like one of the biggest changes, I went into a lot of detail during the original, press conference and stuff, but the heat system and the kind of the stock, the heat energy stock that you
Yeah.
had, if you looked at the health gauge to the bottom of it, right, you had the little chain mark that signified that. So that was a little bit more in depth about, if you do a heat engager, there's you get more. If you do it directly, maybe not so much. So we wanted to streamline it a little bit more. So that's gone. So all the stuff you can do with heat energy is still there. It's just that stock way of doing it is gone.
Yeah, so the little 8 markers are now gone.
Right.
You used to get 2, and now that
Right.
whole system is gone.
So you still have the heat engagers. You still have the direct way of entering it. It's just that you have a time gauge pretty much, and
Okay.
how much time remaining, etc.
So then you get to do it once. You don't have it 2 stocks.
Affected by how
Gotcha.
you chose to enter that state.
だから
But it's a much more easy to understand
そう
presentation.
そう
Mm.
だからその今までは意外とこうヒート発動技からやるとこうマーカーから1個使ったんだけど変えたんでつまんなかったそう見てたと実けどいくと結構リートあと深掘るのがこれ削除する
So this wasn't feedback that we received where people said, "I don't understand it. It's difficult." Everyone was kind of like very positive that I don't really understand it that well now, but I'll get the hang of it when I play
Yeah.
it. But we wanted it to be that you get it right away, right? So and then asking following questions, like, okay, you have the heat dash, you have the heat smash.
One thing I noticed is that even though they're like saying like all these feedbacks are positives, but everyone who is saying like, oh, I don't understand it a little bit, or I think I understand, but I think I'll understand it more when the game releases, they want you to know right now. So all the new people who are getting into this game, they want you to know. They want you to know when you go straight online, so that you don't have any disadvantages onto other players who do understand it when they were playing the CAT. So they won't have that advantage to be like, oh, I played it. I understand it more because I played it before. I mean, of course, you're gonna still have that disadvantage and advantages when you play the CAT before anybody else, but it's still different to what what their goal is. Their whole goal is that everyone who picks up the game could just know when they're just starting playing it. When they start playing like 5 or 10 games, they should already know what they're doing, and they're already used to it. There should be no I might have to get used to it a little bit more. The only thing you have to get used to is the different heat system that works in different characters, because they're all unique, like he said. But he doesn't. But like they said, they don't want you to just feel like you're at a disadvantage because you don't understand. They want you to understand so that you can enjoy it and play the game as much as you should be, basically.
What's your typical optimized gameplay, etc. And you kind of ask them questions and find out they actually don't really understand it, and that it might take some time to get a hold of it. So that's really why we made the decision on our side that, okay, perhaps we should simplify the presentation. And after doing so, obviously we've been playing a lot internally, not just our balancing team, but other employees who aren't Tekken fanatics, and right now everyone's saying that it's much easier to understand and much more streamlined. So and to tack on as well some other changes, the heat smash, you had individual commands for each character, where now it's pretty much simplified that it's the same command for every character.
Cool.
Usually a button press, and so we've made those changes. But just to go into a little bit about also how it works with the heat engage, or whether you go directly into the heat burst. So you just still have the same timer, but if you do the heat engager, you start off with a full timer. Or if you go in via the heat burst, then your timer starts with a little bit depleted. So that's how we kind of balance it out. But the presentation is easier to understand.
That's cool. So, Mark,
Gotcha.
as someone who is a Tekken fanatic, What are your thoughts on these changes so far? Do you think that it was a good change that they removed the heat energy, or do you think that this will change how you're going to play the game now?
I think for a lot of people, it's just going to take time to kind of get used to it. It being more visual in terms of knowing when you're in heat and then not having to pay attention to things like, oh, do I have stock? Do I have not? Just seeing, I guess, an energy meter will help, I think, in the long run. But also the differentiation between doing the heat burst and a heat engager to have different benefits for both. I think that's going to go a long way in terms of how people plan on utilizing it.
俺も最初遊んだ時に、ガードできたレイジャーズなのに反撃できなくてびっくりして、なんかこれ何なのって。
で結構体力残ってるし相手も、なんかレイジ打ってきてんのに相手回復してるからみたいなのもあったんだけど、まあそこら辺ちょっとやっぱ7のいいところをね、CAT では消しちゃってた部分があるから、あえて、ちょっとリスクリターンを取ってレイジャーズがガードされたら結構危ないよっていうふうにしました。
There's actually a long list of smaller adjustments we've made, but some of them were major ones we've been talking about in the previous question. But to add to that, the rage arts, I'm sure Mark noticed it. This time around, for Tekken 7, if you were blocked on rage art, you got launched pretty much. But this time, a lot of, myself included, you blocking like, oh, it's my turn, and then you can't, counterattack them. And this was that way in CAT. But we noticed that along with the other improvements and additions in Tekken 8, such as recoverable health gauge. So before, when you lost your health and you were able to do a rage art in the first place, there was no way to recover that health, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So it was like you're on your last leg. But this time, since you could recover your gauge, it could be the case that at least we saw in CAT, people were just throwing it out because they're like, okay, well, I'm down now. I'll throw it out and then I'll recover the gauge.
Right.
So we figured that maybe balance-wise, it's better to increase the frames. What would you call it? That you're at a disadvantage when the rage art's blocked. So that's been another big change that we made since people played it last time.
Harada-san, you have been walking the floor at all of these events as well, and I know that you have that, the catchphrase, "Don't ask me for stuff." But tell me, what has the community been telling you about Tekken 8 so far?
さっき言ったようになんか初期のキャラクター数とか結構気にする人多かったですね。
まあ質問多かったね。
やっぱ完全新作で、絵もこれだけ変わってで誰の目から見ても明らかだったと思うんですよ。全部作り直してるっていうのが、ほとんど、ゼロとは言わないけど1から作り直してモデルから何から全部やり直してるっていうことに対して。ってことはお金もかかってるだろうし、初期はすごくキャラ少ないんじゃないかって心配してる人が多くて、唯一心配されてたのそこかな。だからキャラがちょっと減るんじゃないかとか、すごい少ないローンチになるんじゃないかって言われてたんですけど、そこは僕らは意外といや思ったよりは用意してるんだよねと思いつつそれぐらいかな。でもあとは本当にポジティブだったから、ちょっとそこは本当に意外でした。もっといろいろあると思ったんだけどね。
Yeah, so Harada was just mentioning that all the feedback he received from the players and the community was overwhelmingly positive. He was actually a bit nervous because it was so positive. We're not used to this. But, it mainly focused on the graphics first off, because I think that's the overwhelming impression that people first got from the title. As just the level of improvement in the graphics.
Yes,
due to beautiful. Creating the environments and the characters from scratch,
from backgrounds and maps,
and so that left a lasting
designs,
impression. And then
to movement,
since that, people that led to the next feedback was, well, can we expect this many characters as we usually do? Because you're making all these things from scratch, and that
it looks like his whole body's actually turning, and his whole body just twisting like this little Beyblade.
We can't obviously announce a character,
like it's a Lego or something,
roster at this point, but we were like, well. We have more than you probably expect, at least more than the competition. So, those are the 2 points mainly with the graphics. And
he got him.
What about the characters?
He said, where you at?
Awesome.
We said, where you at?
Once again, I would really like to thank all of the community who participated in all of the closed alpha tests. These guys got to interact with you firsthand, and thank you so much for the feedback, because
go fuck yourself.
The feedback that you have provided through the surveys, through talking to these gentlemen, it actually has gone into the development of Tekken 8, and you will see it at our next stop, which is the closed network test. And as you gentlemen know, the closed network test,
hey, as I said, I'll find you if y'all got the beta,
will be happening very soon, starting on July 21st and 28th. And it has a lot of the changes implemented from feedback from the closed alpha test. But Michael, tell me a little bit more. Tell me about the characters. Tell me
Right.
about what to expect.
So all the things that we just talked about, right? The changes in the heat system
Yeah.
and the presentation of that, plus Harada's mentioned about the rage arts and other details. All those gameplay mechanic changes will be in that build. But like we're saying, everyone's like, who's in the build or who's the characters? So basically, all the trailers that we've released so far, right? So we have Jin, we have Kazuya, we have Jun, Paul
16
Phoenix, Law,
characters. Ooh,
King,
that's a
Lars,
handful.
Jack 8, Xiaoyu, Nina, Leroy, Lily, Asuka,
Whew.
Parang, Brian, and then the latest one, obviously, Claudio.
That was
So,
really good memory. He named every single character from memory.
yeah,
amazing.
It's like always thinking, well, has someone leaked or not? So I have a good stock here.
まあでもみんな勘違いしてほしくないのは発売する時もっと増えてるからねキャラ。今回のネットワークテストではすごい絞ってるけど。
So, obviously, this was just trying to give players a good representation of a limited roster because we're going to have much more than that when the game releases. This is just a small sampling of it.
Love it. So for all of you
Oh,
who
yeah,
are
for
worried
sure.
about your favorite character, you have more time to think about that.
For sure.
Also, the stages, though. We have a few stages. So we've got the Urban Square Evening stage.
Ooh, beautiful.
We've also got
the
what
best
was
one.
it? The Yakushima. The one that we showed when June was revealed.
Yeah.
Ooh, beautiful.
Rebel Hangar and Sanctum.
Ooh, second best.
And the arena stage. So you
Ooh.
got a few choices there to check out during
I
the
like it, but not
Yeah,
the
and
best
they all
one.
have different ways of interacting with the stage as well, right?
Right. Like people who have played 7, you'll know that when you select the stage, it'll give you a little diagram of the shape of it,
Right.
how open it is. Also, if there's like destructible walls or floors. And some of those mechanics have been changed a little bit for Tekken 8 as well. So it's something to check out.
So all the people at home who want to take notes, you have a lot of things to take notes on, the characters and the stages. There's a lot to learn and a lot to see in the closed network test. So we just talked a little bit about what to expect in-game in the closed network test, but tell me a little bit about those dates, the July 21st and July 28th days.
Right. So, like you mentioned, there's 2 different dates. That's one thing to keep in mind. It's very important. The first one is going to be PlayStation 5 only. So we're looking at the feedback.
And the 28th is going to
making sure
be
everything works
okay.
correctly.
Okay, week 2.
And then on the
Gotcha.
second date, we're opening it up to the cross-platform because we're gonna have cross-play.
So is the week 2 finna be open? Doesn't seem like so. So I'm gonna stop talking.
This game. So obviously it's going to be in the retail version when it comes out, but we wanted to, since it's a brand new feature, to have this test at this current time where we can still make sure everything is working correctly before moving into further development. So on the second dates that you mentioned, we're going to have not only the PS5 but PC and also Xbox Series S and X, so people can play each other online across platforms, and we hope that everyone will test it out for us. That said, I assume that everyone is now currently eagerly waiting to find out whether they got into the test or not.
I hope I get in. I hope I get in.
Would Markman never get into a test? I don't know.
I hope I won't.
So yeah, we'll know. I hope that everyone used their normal email that they check because that's where the reply is going to go to tell you whether you got into or not. And then once they've had a chance to test the game, I hope that they'll give us. There's a questionnaire that we'll send a link to in the same email address to fill out that, give us your feedback, so that we can make improvements to the game before it ships.
That's awesome. So once again, everybody, check those emails. Hopefully you used the right email. And if you did, then check it. And also, please, once again, we are humbly asking for your feedback because once again, with the closed alpha test, we use that feedback. With the closed network test, we plan to use that feedback as you of these three related to the sign off. Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans?
いや、そうですね。まだもちろんやってますけど、どんどん意見を人にとって一緒だし、やっていきたいと楽しみにしてます。
A little bit. Remember, I was just mentioning.
どんどん参加していってもらえばと思います。よろしくお願いします。
So I was just mentioning that obviously we've been showing off the game a little bit with trailers, etc., mainly focusing on the battle mechanics and new systems. But there's a lot of other content that we have being created that we can't wait to show before the release date. Also, thank you everyone who's taken the time to participate in either CAT or the CNT and give us feedback, because we still have a little bit of time still that we can take that feedback and reflect it into the game. So thank you, and we hope that you continue to do so. Is his comment. And for me, I'm just really excited to finally be showing this game after working on it for so long and having to keep my mouth my lips sealed about it. And it's just great to see everyone's reactions. Like Harada's talking about how they were blown away from the graphics. And like he mentioned that I'm adding now because I forgot it, but this is the first time it's on console from the start, right? Which is
Right.
huge.
We were
Maybe some
done with
people
the
who are new to the
arcade stuff
franchise
now.
don't recognize
Started from
the
Tekken.
significance
Ended
there,
from
but
Tekken 7.
it's not
Sad
in Japan
story,
and
but it
Korea and
had to
other
go.
arcade
It's a new
locations getting
generation,
a
man.
version and then console. This is
Right.
everyone from the start. So it should be, a very exciting launch where everyone's going to get their hands in the game at the same time. And just to see that happen is going to be great. So don't miss out.
Mark, what are your thoughts about Tekken 8? Any wishes?
Fuck you,
And
Mark.
I'm just playing the game through the closed alpha test.
Forget you, Mark. I ain't here for you. I'm here for Harada. Anyways, guys, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. This gave us a little bit more feedback. They gave us a lot of stuff to talk about and what to think back on. As much as I would really love to play the beta, I don't have the code. So I will be watching footage, hopefully make some videos about it, hopefully. But hope you guys did enjoy as much as I did. Please get a thumbs up. Comment down below who you are excited to play. And if you did get the beta, let me know so I can find your address. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.